Good afternoon, students. Today is the 3rd of March. That's, as we can see in Google, this is called the Liberation Day, officially known as the Day of Liberation of Bulgaria from the Ottoman Dominion, which is celebrated on the 3rd of March. Yes, so let me just press the button here, see what else is given as information about this day. Okay, what else we can say? And it commemorates the liberation of Bulgaria during the events of the Russo-Turkish War that led to the re-establishment of a Bulgarian statehood. The Treaty of San Stefano, signed on the 3rd of March, 1878, envisaged the Ottoman Empire to accept the refoundation of the Bulgarian state that was conquered in the 14th century during the Bulgarian-Ottoman Wars. It was celebrated for the first time on the 19th of February, 1880, as the day of Emperor Alexander II's ascension and the conclusion of the San Stefano Peace Treaty. So today, how we celebrate the 3rd of March? Can you tell me, Sylvia? How do people celebrate the 3rd of March in Bulgaria? This is the Liberation Day. You can write it down from the Ottoman Dominion. From the Ottoman Dominion. Okay. So Osmansko ego, in a way, that's what is what Google says. And Ivala has just entered the classroom. So how do we celebrate this day in Bulgaria? Sylvia, what do people do? Festivals, descriptions. Yeah. This is what we're going to do tomorrow. Yes. Do we have fireworks displays? Will there be a firework display tonight? What do you think? I think so. We usually celebrate that day with a big firework display late in the evening at 7 o'clock tonight when it gets dark. Really? They always have firework displays. Okay, what else happens? During the day, people have what kind of commemorations, like today's program, where we pay respect to all the people who died for our freedom. Yes. And so I hope that people will find peace inside themselves on that day and really pay respect to those who have lost their lives for our freedom, for our democracy these days. Good. And we are now continuing. Today, in this lesson, I'm planning to do with you speaking skills. We are going to practice speaking on the problem of homelessness based on the lesson suggested in our student's book. And then we'll continue with writing a report which is one of the tasks given for you at your matriculation exam, and also for those who are going to sit for the C Certificate of English of Advanced English exam organized by Cambridge. So this is one of the components of your writing test. As a beginning, open your students' books on page 85 and let's see the first task. Discussing causes, results of an issue, offering solutions. Okay, so let's read the first and the last exchange in the dialogue. What do you think it is about? Stoyan, can you read this, please? The first and the last exchange.
So there was so many homeless people on the streets. I noticed there seemed to be a lot more than there used to be. And then some people in the meantime went to donate to one of the charities, so volunteers to help out. My cousin volunteers to the charity at the weekends, while we go around sometimes to sound like that.
Okay, so what is this? What do you think we're going to talk about today?
solution for the homelessness.
That's right. A solution for the homeless people in the world. That's what they're talking about. So this is, we could donate to one of the charities or volunteer to help out. Well, let's now listen to the whole conversation. Listen, read, and check your suggestions. Okay, let's do it.
It's horrible seeing so many homeless people on the streets.
I know, and there seem to be a lot more than there used to be.
Well, I guess that's mostly down to the recession. A lot of companies have been laying off workers, and they're finding it difficult to get back on their feet, especially when more jobs are being lost than created, and the cost of living continues to rise.
You're absolutely right. Unemployment is a big problem, and state benefits aren't enough for people to pay their rent and bills. As a result, some people end up on the streets. It's awful.
I know, but what can be done about it? I mean, I sometimes give them my spare change, but I'm never sure if I'm doing the right thing.
I know what you mean. I wonder if that helps them at all. I suppose a long-term solution would be for local authorities to give more support to homeless charities and to invest in new job training schemes. They should also build more affordable housing and provide counselling to help the homeless get their confidence back.
All that is okay, but in the meantime, we could donate to one of the charities or volunteer to help out. My cousin volunteers with a charity at the weekends. Why don't we go along sometime?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, so that was what they were talking about solutions, how to help these people, the homeless people. Okay, now let's read it again and answer the question, which of the underlined phrases in the dialogue discuss causes, results, and which offer solutions? So, Lucy, could you start reading the text?
I've never seen so many homeless people on the streets.
Малко високо, speak up.
I
Yeah.
know, and there seem to be a lot more than there used to be. Well, I guess that's mostly down to the recession. A lot of companies have been laying off workers, and they're finding it difficult to get back on their feet, especially when more jobs are being lost than created, and the cost of living continues to rise.
Okay, now, what is this? I guess that's mostly down to recession. Is it a cause? Yeah.
Because it's-
Yeah, причината. It is due to recession. And do you know there is no more petrol in the petrol stations in Petrol? So there will be now an economic crisis for petrol. The price of the petrol has risen to 3 lakhs per liter. Can you imagine how expensive it will be from now on to travel? Everything will rise up. And this is part of the problem, that because due to the recession, the economic problems, people become unfortunately redundant. They had been, a lot of companies have been laying off, съкращават workers, and they're finding it difficult to get back on their feet. Okay, good. So, Sylvia, continue reading the second paragraph.
You're absolutely right. Unemployment is a big problem and state benefits aren't enough for people to pay their rent and bills. As a result, some people end up on the streets. It's awful.
So
Result.
it's a result, that's right. Ekaterina, continue reading the next paragraph. Yeah.
I know, but what can be done about it? I mean, I sometimes give them my spare change, but I'm never sure if I'm doing the right thing. I know what you mean. I wonder if that helps them at all. I suppose a long-term solution would be,
This is a long-term solution. Yeah, they're talking about the solution. Continue reading.
for
Good.
local authorities to give more support to homeless charities and to invest in new job training schemes.
Schemes. Yeah.
scheme. They should also build more affordable housing and provide counseling to help the homeless get their confidence back.
Okay, and Bogdan, the last paragraph. Bogdan, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, the last paragraph.
All that is okay, but in the meantime, we could donate to one of the charities or volunteer to help out. My cousin volunteers with the church at the weekends. Why don't we go along sometime? Sounds like a plan.
Well, so these are some of the solutions offered to help the homeless people. So, Ivala, what was the first solution they offered? What was the first solution? What can be done about it to help the homeless people? You know, can you look at the text? What is one of the solutions based on this text?
Giving homeless people spare change.
Yeah, first one, give them some spare change. So I want to ask you, have you ever given some spare change to the homeless people? Такива малки дребни парички. Spare change, това е 1 лев, 2 лева, такива дребни парички. Yeah. You even don't know, they could be even gypsies, children, yeah, so asking for money. But this is not, it cannot help solve the problem for these people. It solves maybe their current need, just to have something into their mouth, but this is not a solution to the problem. And we don't know, is it the right thing to do? Okay, so Ivana, what is the next solution they offer here? What should be done? For local authorities, what, Ivana? Invest in what? In new job training schemes. Do you think it is being done these days? Do you think there are such projects where they offer professional assistance?
In Bulgaria, I don't think so.
It is offered, by the way. I can assure you, in Bulgaria, there are a lot of professional courses for unemployed people. Whoever wants, they can definitely enroll and learn a new skill. The problem is that people do not want to do it because they're being paid very little money. That's the main issue. But this is a step to get a job, because if you do well, then eventually you will be employed permanently and get some permanent income. Yes. And what else, Sylvia, do they offer? What else is another solution is to build
More affordable housing.
and provide counseling to help the homeless get their confidence back. Между другото, това е хубаво да го запомните, защото това са въпроси за speaking на Cambridge exam. They can ask you similar questions. What can be done to help the homeless people? Okay. So just memorize. Our local authorities should give more support by providing training schemes to these people, job training schemes, and they should build more affordable housing and provide counseling to help the homeless get their confidence back. Okay, and in the meantime, we could donate to one of the charities to volunteer to help them out. Yes, okay. И така, продължаваме с следващата ви задачка. Now, in Paris, act out a dialogue about youth unemployment similar to the one in the help button by using phrases from the useful language box and the ideas below or your own ideas. Всъщност всичко това, което казахме, сега ще трябва вие да го изиграете по двойки to become familiar with these expressions. Така, коя двойка желая да го направи? Значи първо съобщаваме колко е ужасна цялата тази ситуация. It is really horrible seeing people living on the street. Not in Petrich, though I haven't seen any. Have you seen any? Ivala, have you seen her internet connection? Have you seen any? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Do you want to be one of the people discussing the problem? And Sylvie, you'll be offering solutions to solving that problem. Okay, let's follow the example and make your own conversation. Also look at the vocabulary given in our book. In unit exercise 2, you are given expressions like, I think, this often invariably causes, leads to, contributes to something, inevitably as a result. A short-term or long-term solution to the problem would be. Okay, so let's make similar conversations and use this vocabulary to discuss causes, results, and offering solutions to the problem. Okay, so Lucy, you'll be one of the people talking about that, and everybody can join in this discussion. Okay, so how would you discuss the problem? What would you say?
It's horrible that when you go out and you see many people, many homeless people laying on bench
Yes.
or
On newspapers. Have you seen them on newspapers?
no, but there are
Shows, TV
there are
shows.
TV shows like Ničija Zemlja,
Nobody's Land.
yes,
Where
they show
such people without homes,
without homes.
spending their evening outside.
Yes, or
Yeah.
they have a home, but they don't have money to have water or
Yeah.
light.
Yes, yeah, they have no money to pay for their electricity bills and water supply. So yeah, it looks like they live in the street because their home is about to fall down. By the way, there is such a family in Petric. It lives just very close to Ripkata.
Yes.
This is Ivana. Ivan was the name of the boy, and they need urgent help. Perhaps we could help them. I talked to the mother of the boy. She was selling Martinichki now in the market. She said, because they don't have any curtains in their house. When I go by their home, they have newspapers on the windows. And I offered her some curtains because we have a spare set of curtains at home. She said the problem is not with the curtains. The problem is much bigger. The roof of the house has started falling, and when it rains, all the water goes to the second floor, and she has even cut off the electricity power because it may cause electricity shock to the people living in the home. So they need some builders to help them with the house. So maybe I'm going to do something like a charity for them, donating money, or maybe people who want to volunteer to do the roof of the house for free without being paid. These people, yeah, what can we do to help these people? Yeah, everybody, can you offer some solutions to the problem for people who definitely need our community support? What can be done to them? Because this boy's father died maybe 5 months ago. He got heart attack, but he had been suffering from a heart disease for 2 years. He was in bed, so he was not a valuable member of the family. So they're very poor, actually.
I know these people because the house next to them, there live my cousins, and they have told me that this the father was an alcoholic.
Yeah, he was first of all, he was an alcoholic. Then he died, I don't know how many months ago. And now the boy and the mother are trying to meet both ends, but they're very poor, by the way. And their house is like, how to say, a shipwreck. And it is starting to fall apart. and they need some support. And I think we are the people who live in this town who need to give this support to the teenager who is your age, and he needs to get the same, how to say, the same environment as you have at home, at least a house which is not being falling apart, and have a normal existence, not a luxurious life, but existence, to be able to study and and live in a normal environment. So everybody who is in the class, what can we do to help this family? Let's focus and make it particularly to these people. Stoyan, do you think your family can support this guy? His name is Ivan. Actually, he left last year the language school in Blagoevgrad with Spanish language. He is now studying Spanish philology at the University of Blagoevgrad. Very intelligent boy, but really poor. They're very poor. Yeah.
You said that they have no money, then why?
Yes.
How is he studying?
You know, he's working, his mother is working, she's working as a sanita at the hospital. Everything they collect is to pay for his education fees, but they are struggling. They have a very difficult life at the moment. Yeah, and this is the reason why I bought Martinizzi from her country, just to support the family. And so they need, and she is very shy to ask for help because it's a bit, how to say, humiliating to admit to everybody in practice that you have no money to provide for the education of your own child. Yeah, so there is no one to help them. What can be done? Each of us, what can each of us do personally to support this family?
We can donate money.
Yeah, but will that solve the problem? Maybe we should make something like a charity cause. Everybody in this town, because we are only 7 people. It won't help. It won't solve the problem. We need builders for them to do the roof. They have. She spusem causative. Causative have. They need to have their roof repaired. We need somebody who can do this.
Volunteers.
So we need volunteers to help them build up the house. And this is what the people in the old days used to do. If somebody in the village or in the town didn't have a house, they all together get together and build a home for the newcomers, to have their own place with volunteer work. Ivala, what is
Promote
it?
the charity,
Yes.
like so more people know about the problem.
Okay, what I'm going to do personally, I'm going to make the charity cause in Facebook. And can you share that with people around Bulgaria?
We can raise awareness.
Yes, raise the awareness and support these people.
I think that the mayor of the town
Yes.
need to
To be-
help these people
Yes.
with
Yeah.
home or
Yes, temporary home, maybe temporary shelter by the time this house starts working in a normal way, because they're only the mother and the son. She is not educated enough to do a special job. She can work only as a hygienist, and this is what she does at the hospital. She works there, but this is not enough. They're being paid very little money. It won't solve the problem. And her son definitely deserves a better chance, because he is a very hardworking boy. He's clever, but they're poor. That's their main issue. They're poor. Okay, so in a way they are homeless because they have no home to live in. Their home is deteriorating every single day. And when I see the newspapers on their windows, you see, every time I go by the house, I say, "Oh, I have a spare set of curtains. I should give them to them." But this is not gonna solve the problem. Okay, so Ivala, what can you do if I make this cause in Facebook? Will you help me? Everybody, will you help me with your
We'll share the
we'll
charity.
share this one with your
Yes.
friends,
So it
family, and we'll be looking for volunteers to repair their roof because when it rains, you know, all the water gets inside the house, so they cannot live on the second floor. It's a two-story building. It's in the city center. It even looks like a ghost house when you go by it because they're so poor to renovate it. So maybe together we can show that we live in a community that supports one another, especially people who are in need. And I'm sure that when we do that, you feel very happy that you have helped such people. Yeah? Katerina, what can you do to support this guy and his mother? They are all alone, actually. They have no relatives in Petrich to support them. All of their relatives are somewhere else, near Plovdiv, I think. When I talked to her this last weekend, she said that there is no one really to help them. And she is thinking of moving to Plovdiv, getting a rented apartment and trying her life from scratch again. Bogdan, what do you think? How can you also raise the awareness around Bulgaria and raise money for these people? Everybody can help with little money. Good. So, yeah, good. And I think a lot can be achieved by, виждате фразичките тук, a long-term solution to the problem would be to raise the awareness of the people around Bulgaria and get money for this young man and his mother to have a better chance in life. Because, you know, nobody knows how long we'll be on the earth. We are here for a limited period of time. And when we live this life, what will be left will be our good deeds. This is what will matter, not what we have taken, but what we have given to this world. Well, let's move on now. I want to continue with writing a report. We have another task to talk about here. The mayor wants to make our city greener. Discuss all the options from the list below and then decide which two you would choose as being the best way to help the environment. Let's start the discussion. Stoyane, in your opinion, look at these expressions. I would say, as far as I'm concerned, what can be done to make Petrich greener place? What can be done? Let's choose some of these vocabulary here to help your ideas.
Speaking for myself,
Introduce cycle lanes where can be introduced. From Petrich to Belasica Road, yeah, over there. Where else? We can introduce cycle lanes. From the village of Rozhdak to Petrich, because there is a road, but it's a highly busy road and it's dangerous for cyclists to ride their bicycles there. So this is a great idea. We should offer to the mayor to introduce cycle lanes. In this way, what will be possible to be done? People will move from the villages to Petrich. How?
Using their cars.
Yeah, without using their cars. They can walk or even ride their bicycles and reduce the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Yes? And the air pollution will get reduced. That's one of the solutions. Bogdan, do you think that it would be a great idea to introduce more cycle lanes in Sofia as well?
I'd say it would be a great idea, yeah.
Whereabouts it's gonna be a good solution to introduce more cycle lanes? From which neighborhood to which neighborhood in Sofia?
Mm, from
You live in Lozanec
Lozanec to
too? Stilbiste, example.
yeah.
Yeah, because it's near the park, near South Park. So all around the place, there can be introduced new cycle lanes so that people can cycle from home to work without using public transport. Good. Ekaterina, what else can be done to make the city greener?
I mean, um, our city is already pretty green. We have so many plants around the city, and even though they cut down many of the trees on the main lanes, on the street, there are still people who are growing different ones on their balconies. There are no many houses that have big gardens, so
But what about the recycling? There is no recycling here. What can be done in this way, about this matter?
I think that there is enough for recycling. There are many bins. There are bins for separately.
I don't think so, by the way.
Just the people that are throwing away the waste on the streets. There are enough bins, in my opinion, but just the people.
You know, in Australia, every household has got a green bin and a yellow bin. It's in front of each house. So they know when they throw the rubbish that needs to be gone to the landing places, the rubbish landing tips, goes into the green bin. The yellow bin is for newspaper, plastic, all of these stuff. And this has to be, promoted to the local people. We need to be introduced to how to make recycling possible and compulsory in the town of Petic. Plus, they put all of the rubbish together at the end, so it's not work. It doesn't work. A lot needs to be done in this respect. Well, do you agree with me, Sylvia? What do you think?
Yes, we need to make recycling compulsory because in Bulgaria,
Louder,
the
yes.
problem with rubbish is the main problem in our country
Yes.
in general. For example, the rubbish in Sofia is moved to Plovdiv.
Really?
Yes.
The rubbish in Sofia goes to Plovdiv. Can we imagine that? My gosh.
They don't have a place to throw it.
Yeah, they have no place to dump the rubbish in Sofia. And I know that a lot of rubbish from Europe is transported to Bulgaria. So we turn our beautiful land into a rubbish bin.
There was a huge issue with the Italian rubbish.
I know that has been transported from Italy to Bulgaria. This is ridiculous.
Apart from this, we should start litter cleanup schemes.
Yes.
Because people just throw it away.
I know. Yeah, we should start litter cleanup schemes. I've always told you, when I was at your age, here in the park next to the school, there was a man that was in charge of the littering. And he used to have an umbrella with a sharp end at the end to collect the litter that was dropped near here. And I remember how strict it was. Nobody was even trying to think of dropping litter in the street, on the street. So we should introduce maybe such schemes. And anything else you want to offer? Lucy, anything else? Mm, we have introduced a green zone here in Petridge for parking. Yes. What else can be done about the car parks in Petridge? There are not enough car parks. So perhaps what is needed to be done?
Bigger parkings,
Mm.
zones.
Or maybe not bigger, but we should promote walking around the town, not using cars. Don't you think so?
Yes, but there are many people which are coming from the villages.
Many people who come from villages,
Yes.
and there aren't enough car parks, parking space for them to park their cars. So yeah, maybe new parking lots need to be offered to the people who are traveling from outside to the town for their cars to be parked. Well, I think that's a good discussion. We can now move on to the, there is an example given to this issue. Listen to two people doing this task below. How does it compare to your answer in the help button? Let's listen.
Okay, well, personally, I think that making recycling compulsory is a good way to get people to reduce household waste. Many households still aren't recycling enough, and if they were faced with having to pay a fine, families would be more careful about what they throw away.
You've got a point. However, I think people need to be educated about what is recyclable and what is not first. I say this because some people have not been properly informed about recycling, and they shouldn't be penalised for that.
True, but we do need to encourage people to recycle more.
How about building car parks near public transport connections? Now that's something totally different, and it would encourage people to leave their cars there and take buses or trains into town instead.
That's true. Investing in these car parks would be a good way to reduce traffic congestion, which is good for the environment.
Well, perhaps introducing a network of cycle lanes would be similar. This would mean that more people would leave their cars at home and cycle to work, which would also cut down on pollution from heavy traffic and make the air cleaner.
Yes, I know what you're saying. People would get fit and save money too while protecting the environment.
Okay, so what about creating community gardens? I've heard people say that it would be a good idea to turn abandoned public spaces into community gardens.
I'm inclined to agree. Citizens could tend the gardens and grow fruit and vegetables which they could eat or donate to help low-income families and individuals. This would be good for the environment, and it would cultivate community spirit.
Yes, you're right. How about planting trees? The community could get together to plant more trees in public spaces. Trees provide oxygen and cut down on carbon dioxide and are home to many species of wildlife.
True, but on second thought, I don't believe it would make such a huge difference. I say this because we already have a lot of trees in town, and I believe starting litter clean-up schemes would be more beneficial.
From what point of view?
Well, the community could get together and pick up litter around town and clean up local beaches and parks. This way, the environment is protected and the town is kept tidy.
I see what you mean. Keeping our town free from litter is important. So which two options would you choose as being the best way to help the environment?
Well, it's pretty hard to say because they all have a lot of value. Protecting the environment is everyone's responsibility, and there are many ways to help.
Yes, I agree. But if I had to choose the two best options, I think I would go for building car parks and creating community gardens. There are several reasons why I believe this. The first is that building car parks near public transport connections will encourage commuters to use public transport, which will reduce traffic congestion and air pollution in our town. I also believe that creating community gardens benefits everyone in the community and also helps protect the environment.
Well, I partly agree. Although
I do like the option of building car parks near public transport connections. I feel that starting litter cleanup schemes would be more beneficial to the environment than creating community gardens. Litter in town is a huge problem that needs to be tackled.
You've got a point there, but I still think creating community gardens is a better option. I think it would be more beneficial to residents because they could learn to grow their own produce and donate food to less fortunate people in the community while helping the environment as well.
Yes, I suppose you're right. Okay then, let's go for building car parks near public transport connections and creating community gardens.
Okay, so this conversation was a bit deeper with more details, and it represented the speaking task and Cambridge Certificate of English exam. So first of all, you're given things to discuss. What can make your city greener? And then you ask the question, which two would you choose as being the best way to help the environment? Now, can we choose two of these about Petrich or maybe Sophia? So which two would you choose as being the best way to help the environment? And we must reach an agreement. This is the end of this task for the speaking exam. Okay, let's start the discussion. Lucy, which two do you think would be the best way to help the environment? We must reach an agreement, everybody.
Plant more trees.
Planting more trees. And which one? One more?
Make recycling compulsory.
And making recycling compulsory. These are the two things you want to suggest. Okay, what about Stoyan? Do you agree with her? Absolutely. You don't want to have a discussion. I see. But as Ekaterina said, there are a lot of plants already planted in Petrich. Would that be the most important, especially for Petrich? What can really be done? What is really urgent to be done to promote this place, this town to be a greener place? Sylvia, what do you think?
Start with your cleanup schemes is very important.
Yes, this is the one you suggest, and the second one would be which?
I've introduced cycle lanes.
What do you think? Introducing cycle lanes and starting litter cleanup schemes. This is what Sylvia suggests. What, Sriyan, do you support Lucy or Sylvia? Which would you agree with? Значи на изпита, ако сте има души, трябва да стигнете до две от тези предложения. Да изберете от всичките само две. Hello, Ivala. Your internet connection is very bad today. Okay, good. Ivala, are you in Petrich? Or in Sofia or somewhere else today? You should have come to the classroom, Ivala. Okay, so we're discussing two of these things that are the most important to be done in Petrich or Sofia. So we suggested introducing cycle lanes and starting litter cleanup schemes, especially for Petrich. Do you agree with Sylvia or do you agree with Lucy, who offered the first two, making recycling compulsory and planting more trees? Ekaterina, what do you think?
I think that we should just slap one hefty fine for these people that are throwing their rubbish on the streets, and
that's the first one. Yeah, and the other one? Two. You should choose two of those. And the other one is? Which one do you support? Трябва да изберете два и да стане дискусия. You must agree with one another. What about
little cleanup schemes?
Yeah, that's the first one. I understood. What is the second option?
I just said, it's not written, but I think that we should just make people that are throwing rubbish pay some hefty fines. Then we will see what they will do.
You think that in a way, but it's to do with this litter scheme. What is the second solution you want to offer to make the town greener? Okay, litter cleanup schemes, this is part of this one, and the second one, защото на изпита, ако не стигнете до тези две решения, няма да си взела спикинга. Трябва да предложите две решения на проблема. И да се съгласим всички заедно, че това е най-доброто за нашия град. Okay, I think anyway, because we don't have such busy traffic near here, I think that cycle lanes, it's a great option for Petrich area.
There are some cycling lanes, but these cycling lanes are on the sidewalks, and you know how our sidewalks are pretty, pretty.
Yeah, but that's what I suggested, not cycle lanes inside the town, because it's a small town. There is no way for cycle lanes to be built in. I'm thinking of cycle lanes between the villages, let's say from Rupte to Petrich. Next to the railway, there can be made a cycle lane along the train station, along the railway, or let's say Belasica village to Petrich, or which other place can be Razdak, Petrich. We must introduce cycle lanes for the nearby villages to get to by bicycle, not using cars and things like that. Yeah, what do you think about this idea? It can make people walk and use their bicycles more. Yeah? So you can do two things at the same time, help people get fitter and reduce pollution. What do you think, Ekaterina?
Maybe.
Maybe, но трябва да кажеш, okay, I agree with you. На изпита по английски, ако се явите на Кембридж, трябва да стигнете взаимно съгласие, да кажете, I agree with you. Let's say these options will be the right for this place. И така, добре, тъй като времето ми напредна, сега продължаваме с writing a report. So, open your students' books and we'll continue with the writing task. I just need a glass of water. So, meanwhile, I'll go and grab a glass of water. Just open your books and read the information, the general information on this page, page 86, about, yes, what is a report, and we'll continue in 1 minute. Just read it to yourself, okay? Would you like a glass of water? Vala, I don't understand Vala. Why she doesn't come to the classroom? Oh, Katrine has just started to enter the classroom. Her phone went off. Oh, well, let's now go through the information. What is a report? Всички знаем какво е report. Това е доклад, нали? Какво се предоставя в един доклад? Когато искаме доклад от някого, каква информация Стоян има в един доклад? В принцип, доклада се пише с определена задача. Така ли е? Например, задачата може да бъде организиране на тържество по случай 3 май в град Петрич. Така. И може кмета да ви възложил задачата да направите организацията. Така, значи ще пишеме в първия параграф обикновено целта. Каква е целта на този доклад? Ето това е записано тук на английски език. Reports are usually written to present information in a formal situation about a particular person, place, event, or plan. They are addressed to superiors. Обикновено този доклад е адресиран към някой, който е по-висше стоящ, нали? Вашия директор, колега, член на комитет, and gives information in response to a request or instruction about a meeting, seminar that was held a project that has finished or is in progress, or to suggest an alternative course of action. Good afternoon, Katrine. Току-що стартирахме writing a report, so open your students' book on page 86. Сега, тъй като казахме, че доклада обикновено ни дава информация за нещо, обикновено започва с информация за кого е предназначен този доклад. С думата to whom, to Frank Newton, Council Representative. От вас записвате името си from, let's say, Mariana Trenkova, Director of Dolphin Language Center. Subject и темата се задава на доклада във вашето въведение, в случая Addressing Local Social Problems, и задължително имаме дата. Сега, какво съдържа един доклад? Той винаги има, той винаги има няколко параграфа, в които първоначалният параграф въвежда причината, заради която пишем доклада, както в случая an introductory paragraph which clearly states the purpose and content of the report, и още 3 параграфа, в които всеки един ни въвежда запознавани с информацията, представя ни решението на проблема. Като всеки един от тях има подзаглавие with subheadings. И накрая, в заключението, което винаги е conclusion или препоръка, обобщаваме информацията и стигаме до някакво мнение или препоръка, въз основа на която сме написали този доклад. Тоест, доклада не е нищо сложно за създаване. Бих казала, че на изпита дори е добре да изберете да пишете доклад, защото той има точно проявени характеристики и много лесно може да се напише. Запомнете обаче, че той се пише в официален стил на изразяване, т.е. не можем да имаме съкращения на глаголи, често употреба, задължително хубаво е да използваме следователния залог, advanced linkers and vocabulary, complex sentence structure, etc., за да получите висока оценка на изпита по английски език. Докладът решава много добре проблема с райтинга. Затова е хубаво да обърнете внимание на компонентите на доклада. Ето, нашата тема е You work for the local town council, the head of the community affairs committee is investigating ways to improve neighborhoods in different towns. Прекрасна тема, по която сега ще коментираме как да подобрим нашата община, нашият град Петрич. Между другото, за разлика от предходните години, където имаше много неща да се предлагат, вече нещата са се доста подобрили. So there are many things that have been done for this town, but there are still many to get improved. So, you have been asked, this is who, you work for the local, the head of the community affairs has asked us to write a report in which you give information about the improvements in our community. Your report should briefly describe what has been done to make your neighborhood a more pleasant place to live, discussing whether the improvements have been successful. It should also explain what more could be done. Let's now look at this example given here and answer the questions below. Katrine, can you read the first question, please?
What do you have to write and for whom?
What do we have to write, Katrine? It's a report, yeah? And for whom? За кого? За кого трябва да бъде? For the...
Head
Погледнете,
of the community?
the head of the community affairs committee. That's right. Тоест, това е задачата. So, Ekaterina, can you read the next question and answer the question?
Which of the following do you expect to use a lot of idioms and everyday word expressions? Short forms, the passive voice, a lot of phrasal verbs, advanced vocabulary.
Which do you expect to use for this report?
Passive voice, advanced vocabulary.
Advanced vocabulary, that's right. Well, Bogdan, the next question is?
What information must your report include?
What? Ето това е, нали? Can you answer?
Your report should briefly describe what has been done to make your neighborhood a more pleasant place to live. Discussing whether the improvements have been successful, it should also explain what more could be done.
Тоест, това са ви трите параграфа в the body of your report. Първият параграф, как ще го кръстим тогава? Тъй като ще става дума за improvements. Може би първият параграф ще бъде improvements that have been made. Yes. Вторият параграф, как ще го кръстите? Тук ще бъде оценка, нали? Assessment of these improvements. And the last one, maybe like recommendations, explain what more could be done. Ето това ще бъде вашия доклад. Ще има 3 параграфа в своето body. Така, сега да видим следващата задачка. Да, т.е. много внимателно четете задачата и отговаряте на въпросите към нея. Трябваше тук да снимаме това упражнение, само една секунда. Така, и сега, нека да прочетем образеца. And can you choose the correct heading for each paragraph? Ready to start? Catherine, can you read the introduction, please?
Добре. The aim of the report is to outline and assess the improvements that have been made to Hampton, an up-and-coming inner city area, and to suggest further measures to be taken.
Всъщност, вашият доклад, който ще пишете след това, ще има същото въведение. Нали? Само, че вместо Хамптън ще кажем Петрич. Тоест, в условието вие винаги давате коя е целта на този доклад. В случай да оцениме всички тези подобрения, които са били направени до днес в град Петрич и в София, Богдан. За теб ще бъде в София. И да предложиме нови неща, които да бъдат предприети. Супер. Така, Силвия, къде продължи? Yeah, continue reading the next paragraph.
While some measures have been successful, others have been less so.
Не, ние сме на several major improvements.
Several major improvements have been made to the neighborhood recently. Firstly, council-owned properties and streets have been restored, and new
amenities,
such as a community center and a well-equipped school, have been constructed. Additionally, an ugly area of wasteland has been transformed into a popular park, and several trendy cafes have opened.
Тоест, кое ще бъде заглавието? Neighborhood improvement. Значи на всички параграфа за Петрич, вероятно, ще започне с подобно заглавие. Neighborhood improvement. И тук вече ще трябва да опишете какво е било направено до сега в нашия район. И мисля, че има доста неща, които след малко ще ги брейнстормаме. Добре. Така, Стоян, can you continue with the next paragraph, please? Това го четохме до сега. Сега сме на paragraph 2. While, значи, while
some measures have been successful, others have
being less so.
The park and cafes and shelters improve the area's image as well as provide pleasant recreational venues for the community. In addition, the community center practice educational opportunities such as computer classes for residents job skills. Despite the efforts, there is still a problem with youth unemployment and delinquency. Moreover, many streets seem dark and menacing at night.
Can that be referred to Petrich as well, this paragraph? So what would be the heading, the subheading here? Impact on neighborhood. Сега, тук ще говорим колко успешни са били всички тези подобрения, нали, в следващия параграф. Как е повлияло това на нашия град? Мисля, и ние имахме нов парк, много открит парк, нали, и за съжаление част от парка беше унищожен от местните вандали. Така, ето, despite these efforts, there is still a problem with youth unemployment and delinquency. Можете ли да се досетите за смисъла на тази думичка? Delinquency. Какъв е проблема с младите хора? Че има какво? Youth crime. Това е престъпно сред младежите. Delinquency means youth crime. And also, do you think that there's still some dark and menacing streets at night in Petrich?
Yes.
Има ли
Yes.
такива? Тоест, вижте колко лесно може да напишете вашето съчинение след малко. Но за мен е много важно да използвате този речник от думи, академичен речник от думи, за да звучи вашето изразяване на академично ниво. Така, следващия параграф, Lucy, can you continue? Остана последното заглавие, Suggestion for the future, който отговаря на третия въпрос. Какво, нали, може да бъде направено, предложено? Can you continue reading?
Taking all the above in consideration, there are several ways in which the neighborhood could be further improved. For instance, improving street lighting at night and
Initiating
neighborhood watch programs are likely to make people feel safer. Furthermore, vocational
training schemes
could be
implemented, внедрени,
in order to get
disaffected youngsters off
the streets and into work.
Yeah, it could be used for your writing as well. Similar way of improvement. И накрая завършваме с заключение. Тоест в есето заключението е част от самото, няма нужда да казваме conclusion в есето. Тук в доклада си имаме заглавие. Това е the topic sentence, сега е заглавие. Нали? Тоест в есето, ако имаме topic sentence, който ни вкарва в темата на параграфа, тук the topic sentence е заглавието към съответния параграф. И последният текст, нека да прочете Екатерина. Екатерина, read the last paragraph.
Conclusion. On the whole, while I believe that the impact of recent rejuvenation and the redevelopment in the area has been positive, there is still room for improvement. I would recommend further upgrading amenities, social programs, and security measures to make the area an even more pleasant place to live.
Да, добре. Тоест, вашето съчинение е почти написано. От вас ще искам да седнете, да го припишете буквално и да промените информацията, за да бъде еквивалентна, нали, актуална с нещата, които се случват в нашия град. Това ще ви бъде за домашна работа, да знаете. Ще искам всеки да ми представи подобен доклад, защото няма да бъде трудно да се напише. Нали, помислете какво се създаде. Can we brainstorm ideas? What has been done recently? Богдан, а ти си нахвали идеи за София. What has been done recently in Lozanec, in Sofia, to make the place better for the community? And can you assess all these facilities? Така, тъй като ни остават 20 минутки и няма да имаме време да правим цялото есе в класната стая, искам сега само да си направим брейнсторминг. Така, ще ви... добре, хайде да го направим заедно на просто ще ви направя само структурата, ще споделя бялата дъска сега. Така, Айде да нахвърлиме идеите за вашия доклад. Значи, доклада, който ще искам всички да ми напишете до четвъртък, до следващия четвъртък, защото вторник is the 8th of March. We're not going to have a lesson until next Thursday. Темата ще бъде същата, която имаше в упражнение първо, а именно we have to write a report, describe what has been done to make our neighborhood a more pleasant place to live, discuss whether the improvements have been successful, and explain what else can be done. Окей, хайде сега. Искам всеки един от вас да си направи нещо като скелет на своя брейнсторминг, въз основа на който ще направите седо репорта за домашна работа. Айде запишете, ето така ще го запиша като заглавие. Report on...
Госпожо?
Да, слушате?
Главно две неща, които са променени, ли трябва да напишем?
Не. Тук трябва да има, както е примера в учебника, може да са повече от две неща. Не, всичко, което се е подобрило, можеш да го дадеш, после да оценим колко успешно е била това внедряване и накрая да направим предложение за нещо повече. Сега, от вас искам само да нахвърлим идеите. След това ще ползвате този скелет, за да сложите тази информация вътре. И ще видите колко лесно ще го напишете. Въобще не е едно листче, разбира се. Заповядай. Само една секунда, не тези листчета. Тези са ми други райтинги. Това мога да си дам. Добре. Сега, айде запишете report on discussing improvements for the community. Improvements for the community in the local area. Let's say that. Report on discussing improvements for the community. Сега, значи трябва всеки да напише в началото до кого е адресиран този доклад. Това ще го имате на всеки един изпит. До кого? Айде пишете в ляво. To. И в случая това ще бъде кой? Пол Уолчер. Не, нека да бъде кмета на съответния град. The mayor. А при тебе ще бъде of Лозенец neighborhood. А при нас ще бъде the mayor of Petrich town. Така, следващото изречение ни казва от кого е това предложение. From, можем да кажем the students of Delphine Language School. The students of Delphine Language Center or Language School. Така, след това трябва да въведем темата Subject. Темата ние казахме Improvements in my community. Improvements in my community. Okay. Improvements in my community. И днешната дата ще сложим, тя е the 3rd of March. The 3rd of March. Готови сме с началото на доклада. Всеки един доклад трябва да има тези компоненти до тук. След това, винаги имаме introduction. Винаги introduction. В това въведение преписвате все едно условието на задачата. Буквално си преписваме условието на задачката. И казваме, значи това е обаче винаги като заглавие. Това е характерно на доклада, че има подзаглавия. И introduction е обикновено едно изречение, дори не, максимум две изречения, в които обясняваме каква е целта на този доклад. И приписвате условието. Разбирате ли? Като обаче не буквално буква по буква, а с малка Paraphrasing, нали, да нямаме абсолютно копиране на думите от задачката. Значи в introduction, само ще запишем следното нещо сега. Ще напишем the aim of this report is. Каква е целта на доклада? За да може кмета, когато започне да чете този доклад, да знае какво ще му бъде представено. Is to и приписваме целта на доклада, която е. Ако искате, направо си припишете. Не, оставете си място. Това сега на вас е брейнсторминга. Нали? И след това, айде да сложим тези подзаглавия. Трябва да си изберем заглавие за представяне на тази информация. Първото заглавие беше какво се е случило в нашия град. Значи, оставяме един ред постоянно и напишете neighborhood improvements. Neighborhood improvement. Neighborhood improvements. Сега се пише, аз се бърках. Neighborhood improvements. Това ще бъде вашето заглавие. И тук сега искам всеки да нахвърли какво всъщност се е подобрило в нашия град. Дори и кино имаме вече. We also have a cinema. That was my dream, to have a cinema. So, and how does having a cinema impact on the young people in this town? Okay? Значи, тук сега, под тази тема, ще трябва, искам да ми изборите, всеки да избори какво се е случило в нашия квартал, в нашия град, в околността ни през последните няколко години. What sort of improvements are there? Така, първо ги представяме. Ще ви дам 5 минутки за брейнсторминг. Да видя кой какво ще нахвърли. И след това тези неща ще използваме в този доклад. Стояне, ти ще пишеш ли? На изпита ще имаш writing. Writing трябва да се напише. Да си дам ли лист? Имаш ли си тетрадка? Започвай да пишеш. What has happened in Petrich? Ами аз ще започна с нещата, които са най-важни. Several major improvements have been made. Можем така да започнем. To the neighborhood recently. Ето така, това е хубаво начало на параграфа. Several major improvements. Тоест даже няма нужда да мислите за първото изречение. Направо си го приписвате от този пример. Защото това е идеята да се научите, да ползвате някакъв пример, по който да надградите своето умение. Improvements have been made recently, нали? Have been made to the community recently. Давам ви 5 минутки за брейнсторминг. Аз сега ще си напиша моите идеи, а вие вашите си напишете. Училищата също бяха много подобрени, нали? Schools have been... Ще сложим free. Schools and kindergartens. Така, хайде бързичко да кажем какво написахме. Lucy, what did you write?
Cinema.
A new cinema, good. И аз го имам тук в моя списък.
A new park.
A new park was, yes, opened with what facilities in the park? Sports facilities like a volleyball and basketball. What is it gonna be? Court plus a lake with swans and birds swimming and living there. Good. What else is there?
A cafe. There is a cafe.
Is there a cafe? Yes, and a sports area.
Yes.
For people to do yoga, Pilates, and wrestling as well in this sports arena in the park. Good. Good. Всички имате ли го вече това заложено във вашето есе, във вашия report? Още какво включихме?
Playgrounds for the children.
Yes, new children's playgrounds have been rebuilt, renovated in the town.
New sports halls.
New sports?
Halls.
Halls.
Спортни зали.
Halls. Да, аз съм го написал като New Sports Arena. Спортната арена, which is next to Lidl. Yeah, the sports arena for public events and sports events. Good. And all the schools and kindergartens have been renovated with new playground facilities and new equipment for students to study and learn. Това ли написахте всички? Сега, следващия параграф е оценка на тези impact on neighborhood. Това, хайде, запишете го като следващо подзаглавие. След като сте написали всичко това, следващия параграф вие ще трябва да оцените това нещо и да... Where is my telephone? Can you take a picture? My phone is here. И сега, след като сте направили този brainstorming, нали, вие ще си го въведете с ключовите linking words, in addition, освен това, furthermore, first, така. Следващия параграф е оценка на тези неща. Доколко добре и как е въздействало това на местните хора. Да, разбирате ли? Следващия параграф трябва да включва вашите... Ето сега снимам това, което аз съм написала. И сега напишете следващото подзаглавие. Това ви е брейнсторминга, който си го правите по време на изпита, преди да започнете да пишете. Защото ако нямате план, вие ще се разсеете, ще пишете за други неща. Трябва да се знае върху какво ще развиете вашия доклад. Така, айде напишете следващото подзаглавие. А то е Impact on Neighborhood. Impact on Neighborhood. И тук вече в този параграф вие ще трябва да направите оценка на тези 3-4 неща, които сте написали. Оценка, като следват образеца в учебника и в следващия параграф, значи тук си оставете място, нали? Следващия параграф ще дойде, ако това е introduction, е първият параграф, neighborhood improvements, втория параграф, impact, въздействието, как киното, например, се отразява на младите хора. Много ми е интересно да разбера това. Do you like having the cinema in Petridge? Yes? Yeah, it's a wonderful way to spend time with your best friends and also get closer to everything that is being shown on the big screen worldwide. Yes. Okay. Значи записваме, това е третия параграф. Четвъртия параграф е винаги някоя препоръка. recommendation. И обикновено тук е suggestions for the future. Запишете го като четвърти параграф. Suggestions for the future. Обърнете внимание на образеца, който е даден. Talking all the above, taking all the above in consideration, there are several ways in which a neighborhood could be further improved. Тоест, вие да направите нови предложения. Нека всеки сега да нахвърли идеи по какъв още начин, какво още трябва да се направи за нашия град, какво друго трябва да направим. To become a better place to live in. Айде, да, ви една минутка за размисъл. Какво друго? Нахвърлете идеи. Какво друго трябва да се направи? И последния параграф винаги е заключение, но то си е като заглавие. Conclusion. В извода, в conclusion-а, трябва да изразиме крайното мнение. Към кмета, какво е желателно наистина да се направи? Така, айде сега всеки един от вас, нека да нахвърли предложение за това, от какво още или какво още трябва да се направи за нашия град. Със сигурност можем да говорим за тези litter schemes, нали, за буклука. Можем да използваме идеите от спикинга, който имахме преди това. Аз ще въведа cycle lanes, това ще предложа. Introduce cycle lanes. Okay. Also, maybe start litter cleanup schemes. Start litter cleanup schemes. И ще предложа making recycling compulsory. Мисля, че тези три неща са много важни, за да направят будно нашето общество. Тези от вас, които обичат животните, може да предложат maybe creating animal shelter as well. This is something we definitely need to be done for the improvement of the community. Making recycling obligatory. Забравихме, знаете какво да пишеме? Че имаме и открит дом за възрастни хора в болницата. People of old age, and there are no, because, you know, we are so busy these days, we cannot, unfortunately, look after our parents, and in our hospital, there is a home for the elderly people who can be looked after by professional people, given their medicine, treatment, and have a normal life, not like sick people, but like normal people. It's about 1,300 levs a month. I think that's the fee that you have to pay, but it includes everything, food, accommodation, and the care for these people, for the old people. For example, I know a friend of mine whose mother, unfortunately, she's 72 years old and she lost her mind. You mean she cannot remember anything? She even cannot remember her daughter. And it's very difficult to look after her at home because she needs to go after her everywhere she goes. She forgets everything. This is Alzheimer. That's the disease that many people suffer from. And this place, like a place for people who are of old age, is a wonderful opportunity for the children to have their normal life. Тоест, тук можем да добавиме, също да добавим, че имаме и новооткрит дом за стари хора. Old age home. Old age home has been opened in the hospital. Вижте ли колко много неща за последните 5 години са се случили в нашия град. So many things have happened. Но какво още трябва да направим? Тук това искам да чуя активната гражданска позиция на всеки един от вас в своя доклад. И може след това наистина да предложим тези неща на кмета на град Петрич. Защо не? Предложените да дойдат от моите ученици. Искам наистина да ви накарам да се замислите за мястото, в което живеете и с какво вие бихте могли да допринесете да стане едно по-добро място за живот. Не можем да бъдем само наблюдатели. Трябва да имате активна гражданска позиция. Да, кажи, Люси.
Another thing that we can
Do.
do is to
Yes.
we can suggest shelters to be made for the homeless people.
And for the refugees that would come from Ukraine even now. Yes. Okay. Тоест, вижте ли колко много неща в този доклад може да напишете. Ще имате ли 250 думи? Да. Да. Вижте каква хубава благодатна тема за писане. Сега тук може да разгледате останалата част от урока за linking words, нали? Но другото е просто, отворете на страница 89, за да видите думичките, които трябва да използвате, докато пишете вашия доклад. Другото е само упражнение в учебника, които остават по темата, но целта е да седнете да пишете. И много съм щастлива, че днес е четвъртък и вие можете да седнете сега вкъщи и да направите райтинга до края. Не го отлагайте до следващия четвъртък, всичко ще сте забравили, което сме коментирали. Нали? Използвайте учебника си като... Ето ги думичките, тези думички. The purpose of this report is to, as requested. И нека да си представим, че наистина нашия кмет на община Петрич ни е помолил да направим предложение, с което той да подобри нашия град. So that was for today. Очаквам всеки един от вас да ми предложи своите оферти. Наистина нека да бъдат реални и да отговарят на действителността. Thank you for joining me today and happy holiday. I do believe that you will be a conscientious citizens of the country and will contribute with your efforts to make it a better place to live in. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. Have a nice. Довиждане на всички. Bye. Довиждане.